Welcome to the garden. Today I'm going to be whacking back my weeds, and I like to use these handheld whackers. They're kind of like golf clubs with steak knives at the end. These are relatively dull compared to an actual knife, but the serration will help grip things like grasses and weeds, and they just whack them back really easily. And I've got a couple different here. You can see some of the teeth are a little bit smaller, some of them are a little bit larger, but they all work really great. It's one of my favorite tools because it's really quiet. Unlike a weed whacker, which is really loud and obnoxious, I'm just all about trying to find handheld tools like this, and this is one of the most useful and most effective. We're going to try and avoid things like this ruin anemone, which is flowering still, but some of these other flowers, like this buttercup, they're starting to produce seeds, so I want to whack them back before they can really drop their seeds everywhere. These are right on a trail, so I kind of want to get rid of them. So I just whack them back nice and low. Anything I don't want, I'll just whack back. I may hit stuff like these wild violets, but that's okay because we actually have so many that they're going to be fine. But I will try and avoid them when I can. It can actually help to work uphill because then you're not bending down too much. It's just right about at arm's length. It's important to do this so that you don't contact any ticks with your clothes. The ticks are starting to get really active. So I want to whack all this back. Anything that could potentially brush up against you, even these flowers like Creeping Charlie, I'm just going to cut them all the way back. We'll leave some of these little wildflowers. Anything that's off of the trail is fine, but we just want a nice wide berth. So this low stuff is probably fine. And then you might see weeds that you might want to pull, like this buckthorn. That'll just come back if we whack it, so I'm actually going to pull those out by the roots. You can even do this kind of whacking in wild grasses. These actually don't take the grasses down too much. So if there are weeds in here, like I can see one right down there that we're going to whack. So we're actually leaving the grass relatively undamaged. And these really make quick work of those weeds. This Creeping Charlie on the right here makes a beautiful border, but we have so much throughout here, we don't really need it this close to the trail. So I'm going to whack this back about a foot on each side of the trail. Give us a nice wide berth. So you can see why I waited for most of the wildflowers to bloom. It really just takes everything down. We've cleared a really nice path here so that we're not going to be brushing up against anything. There's actually a nice patch of this blue bugle right down here. You can see one of the flowers here and a couple more, so I'm going to try and avoid those. so this makes pretty quick work. We can even tackle grass, and you just have to really swing. But it gets a nice low haircut on the grass. So it's just like a little weed whacker, only it's manual, which is my favorite part. So I tried to avoid some of these flowers, like these little wild violets and these wild geraniums. I really like those, and they're not too close to the trail so they can stay. Some spots need to be really cleared all the way to the ground. So you can actually just skim the ground and just kind of like a pendulum swing back and forth, and it clear cuts really well. So clearing the trails out like this, you not only get protection from those ticks, but you also get native mosses. Over here we have a beautiful patch of moss, and this will fill in and really take over. We've got some on this side too. And I've actually cleared a trail down here that's basically 100% moss. So the more you whack, the fewer plants will come back every year. Notice how this is nice and low on this border? I haven't touched this at all this year. It used to be just brush and things like this. So we've cleared it out, and I just keep it whacked. So now that some of the flowers have bloomed, I can really get in here and whack it down. That'll suppress anything that's too tall, and it'll stay nice and low like this, like a little microclimate. So now all that's left are these native grasses, these really low growing things. I also keep the trail really clear. That way we get tons of moss. But it's important to keep it whacked, keep it clear of leaves in the autumn. So now the trail is nice and clear. We're not going to be brushing up against anything for ticks to latch onto us. And these mosses will spread, and everything low is just going to spread and take over, and it'll become a really nice, low-maintenance microclimate. So the more you whack, the less you have to whack. It's kind of an interesting little phenomena. But it definitely works. It creates a whole new ecosystem with a whole different range of plants. You get these native grasses and wildflowers instead of buckthorn and shrubs. Then we get things like the creeping Charlie and a whole bunch of different wildflowers, like these rue anemone. These are one of my favorites. They're just delicate, low-growing, beautifully flashy little flowers. So I love things like that to take over. And wild geranium, that's this one here. It actually has beautiful purple blooms. And then we get little stuff like this, like, I think that's like a type of lily. Trails look beautiful now. They're completely whacked, so we don't have to worry about brushing up against anything. Ooh, nice little butterfly there. But these things are really one of my favorite tools. So I hope you try and find one of these. I've found both of these at garage sales, but they probably sell them at home improvement stores. They're an incredible tool, and if you want, you can practice your golf swing. So these do really great work, and for me they're a lot of fun to use. You just want to wear closed-toed shoes. You don't want to go barefoot on these, because these could definitely take off a toe. You definitely don't want to wear sandals when you use these. Unlike the gas-guzzling weed whackers that make a lot of noise, these are actually really relaxing. And I think that's a great little exercise. So I hope you pick one of these up at a garage sale, a garden center, or a home improvement store. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.